What the hell? What the helly? What the heliante? What the hell? Sorry, y'all. YouTube copyrighted me, so I had to sing over this track.
So, what you just saw was a grown ass man punching a cake, the wedding cake, at his brother's funeral. Oh, funeral, wedding. That must be a Freudian slip because what? Now, if this isn't the most unhinged, most immature thing I've ever seen, I don't know what is. Now, the poor brothers kind of reminds me of the Kardashians, right? Like they will do anything for fame or attention. And they're like that family that you don't watch them, but somehow you just know about them, you know of them because, they are in your face. Kind of like the Kardashians, okay? But, the Kardashians are definitely the masters, okay? Like the Paul brothers in One Nothing on the Kardashians. But before I get into the psychology behind this behavior, I want to talk about what a cake represents. Symbolically, what a cake represents, and the fact that your brother is desecrating this cake and you think it's cute is beyond me, okay? Because I saw some clips of that wedding, and even when these men are getting married, even when they're walking on the aisle, they still have this desperate need for validation from other men. Men need male validation more than we do, and it is pathetic and sad, and it should be studied. So, a cake at a wedding is a very ancient practice, and it's rooted in ritual. So, for example, the cake in ancient times, and I still believe to this day that it still represents that, because if you practice any kind of magical practice, whether it be witchcraft, manifestation, ceremonial magic, or whatnot, you would understand the correspondence of these everyday things that we take for granted in the modern world. Now, the cake historically has always been rooted in fertility and abundance. So, like in ancient Rome, what the groom would do, it would usually be like a bread, but it has eventually turned into a cake because making it a cake is like sweetening the union. Okay, so if you've ever heard of a honey jar spell or a sweetening jar or something like that, you already know and you already get the concept. Okay, this is not fun and games. This is very, very serious. I don't know why people don't take these things seriously anymore. Just because we live in modern times, that doesn't mean that these things no longer applies. It does to me. So the cake, it represents abundance and prosperity and fertility. And the sweetening or the sugar, it represents a sweet marriage. Like, they get along really well, it's very harmonious or whatnot. So when you allow someone to do that to your wedding cake, that person is basically disrespecting your union and they're disrespecting your marriage and they're telling you that they do not support this union. That's what they are symbolically saying to you. And the message is loud and clear because what I'm getting from that message, from an energetic spiritual level, is that him and his brother do not value marriage. I do not know why he's getting married, and he doesn't give a shit about his marriage or his wife. Like, he is all about his buddies and getting approval from them. Men are so weird. Like, girl. So now that we got the ancient symbolism out of the way, let's talk about what the cake symbolizes in modern weddings or wedding culture, whatever. The cutting of the cake is the first act that a couple does after the marriage ceremony. That's usually the first thing that they do together. And then they feed each other. So that symbolizes mutual support and a promise that they would always provide for each other. The cake, especially if the cake is, big, the bigger the cake, I don't want to say the better, but, the cake really reflects the couple's social status, financial status, or whatnot. It also represents generosity because you share the cake with your guests. I love a good wedding cake. So, that cake in itself, it represents the family's wealth and generosity. Okay, so remember that. Usually, a wedding cake has layers. And these layers represent stages in the marriage. I don't understand how people don't know this. But then again, most people don't read and most people don't do research. Like, there are people that cannot tell you when was the last time they Google something, and that's scary. The cake is always round. Like a wedding cake should always be round. It shouldn't be a different shape, okay? And that round shape represents unity and the cycle of life. And, you know, it kind of makes me sad that, there are a lot of things that we do and we never think of, researching it or, asking questions like why we do these things. But, in essence, right, ladies, the cake represents fertility, prosperity, abundance. It also represents the sweetness in marriage, and it also represents generosity, sharing the abundance with your guests or the community. Because if you look at weddings, weddings are a community ritual. It's a ritual that the community comes together and perform. Now, I don't want to go into the patriarchal history of marriage or whatnot because this is not this type of video. Okay? People still get married today. People still want to get married. I am married and I support marriage. I don't care what these feminist girlies are saying. This is not this channel. So, anyways, now that I've given you all a lesson in history and what the cake symbolizes, let's go into my analysis of this behavior. Okay, I'm going to do like a psychological analysis. By the way, these are my opinions. This video is for entertainment purpose only, and everything I say in this video is alleged. I am not a psychologist, so these are my opinions. Next. So, if we want to understand that behavior, because I feel like, I don't know, like, listen, I could be wrong and I could misinterpret what I saw, but what I saw when that psychopath started punching that cake and his brother said nothing, like, I don't know, like, to me, like, I felt like I saw like a split second of discomfort. But you have to understand patriarchal socialization. Men desperately need validation from other men due to that patriarchal socialization, and they will seek that validation until the day they die, unless they grow up and they become sovereign. Most men are not sovereign. Most men have a hierarchical mindset. They only understand hierarchy. They only understand dominance and submission. And submission is not, when I say submission, I'm not talking about him wanting submission from his wife. Like, they submit to each other. There's always this dominant, stronger, alpha type guy in their friend group. What I'm seeing with the relationship with Jake and Logan, I think that Jake is the younger brother, but clearly, Jake is the one that asserted his dominance, because that's basically what he did right there. He asserted his dominance at his brother's wedding. And the brother, which was Logan, did nothing. Like, he started cheering him on. Like, why would you do that? See, these men do not have autonomy. Like, they need approval from other men. We talk about women always needing validation from men, but nobody talks about how pick me men are for validation from other men. It's embarrassing. A man's sense of belonging and self worth is directly linked to male approval. It has nothing to do with approval from his spouse, not even from his mother. Okay? So, their sense of status, belonging, self worth is directly linked to male validation or peer validation or approval from other men. It has nothing to do with intimate partner. They don't give a shit about you as their wife. What truly matters is their need for validation. Now, there are some men that do not care about that. Those men exist. I think they call them Sigma or something. I don't know. So, what you need to understand about men is that if you're a man and your peers mock you, you are weak. Okay? If your peers are clowning you and mocking you, you are weak. If, however, they praise you and cheer you on, you're the real man. Okay? Like, that's where they get the approval and validation from. They do not know how to get validation from within. They can't do it. I don't think most men, most people in general, but men in particular, I don't think these people are capable of self validation. Because honestly, the only person that can validate me is myself. I don't need validation, and you have no idea how liberating that is. It is so liberating and freeing to not give a shit about what other people think about you. So, before I move on to my next point, always remember that men will prioritize male approval and male validation over their spouse, even their own emotions. It's weird. I don't understand it. So let's talk about bromance, okay? That brotherly romance relationship that they have with each other, whether it be their blood brother or their friends, okay? Now, Western culture or Western masculinity, it elevates the bro code. We all know about it, okay? Like the bros before hoes, blah blah blah. I mean, when will us women get to the point where we are like hoes before bros? Like, girl, I don't know. It will never get there, but you know what? Anyways, I'm not even going to get into that. Okay, let me stick to the topic. You have to remember that for men, their brothers and their male friends are the ultimate tribe. So displeasing them is seen as a threat. It seems like treason or it feels like treason to them. And displeasing the bros is seen as a bigger threat than dishonoring your own spouse or your wife or whatnot. If you all saw that video that went viral a few months back, where a guy was saying that he would rather cheat on his girl than betray his bro, something like that. Okay, like I can't find that video because I see these videos all the time and I never address them, like I never make videos about them. But I don't know, like I just felt like I had to talk about this situation because once you understand male nature, because I'm teaching you about male nature, okay? This is how men are. This is how they are. They need approval from other men. It's embarrassing. So remember what I said about Jake asserting dominance by punching the cake? What he did there is basically punching the cake, bringing all the attention on him, and basically saying that I matter more than your silly little marriage. That's basically what he's saying there. So now we know who the weak one is because by not pushing back and, cheering him on, what Logan did was allow Jake to hold a higher rank above him. I believe that that family is afraid of Jake. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I do not know these people, okay? I just know of them. I know about Jake Paul because of that weird thing that happened back in Japan a few years ago. I'm surprised he's not cancelled, but cancel culture isn't real. I don't think it is. And ladies, I want you to realize how sad this is. This is actually very sad because women are encouraged to build identity around intimacy, marriage, family, empathy, partnership, and that's how women are groomed in society. And it is what it is because we've all been there, okay? I remember in my 20s, getting in a relationship was the most important thing for me. That relationship and marriage eluded me until I got in my 30s and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm done. I made peace with the idea that I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. And listen, I made peace with that. Okay. I already filmed another video about this. You might see that video before this or after this. I don't know when I'm going to post it. But men, on the other hand, are thought that their entire identity is resting on how other men perceive them. So even on their wedding day, they are still deferring to the male gaze. They are still deferring for male approval and validation. This is why when you date them, they're taking you around their friends and, you're going on a date and next thing you know, you with his group of friends or whatnot and you're meeting his brothers and like, they are seeking validation and approval. They want their friends to say, oh my God, she's a baddie. She's beautiful. Oh my God. They are using you to impress their friends and to impress other men. And this is why we shouldn't be even having these arguments about coffee dates and stuff. Like, ladies, we have to know our value. They use us the same way they would use a luxury car. They will take you and flaunt you around their friends for approval. What I did, I would be like, I'm not ready to meet your friends. Don't tell anyone about us. I'm not claiming you. I'm not posting you on social media. None of that stuff. Don't do it. He needs to work for that. But that's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother video. Anyways, I just think it's so sad that doing a sacred ritual like a marriage, because it's a ritual, that he allowed this behavior simply because he cares about what his friends think about him. I don't know. It would be interesting if I can, see their birth chart, but I'm not in the mood, girl. You see, the thing is, what you have to look for, ladies, is a man who set boundaries with other men. A man who set boundaries with other men. Now, my husband, he has a friend, and his friend came to visit us, and let me tell you something, this man is grown, and he brought a really young girl with him. I think she was like 19 or something. And my husband was like, listen, my husband pulled him up immediately and told him, like, don't ever do this again because you're disrespecting me and you're disrespecting my wife. Now, I'm not boasting and saying that, my husband is the best man ever because there is no perfect man. But what I'm trying to highlight here is a man who's not afraid to assert boundaries with other men. Most men cannot do that. I don't know why. If he is still seeking the approval of his brother and his friends, it means that he hasn't fully stepped into his role as husband and provider. He is not yet an individual. Okay? That's basically what it means. It means that he is immature. He's not emotionally mature, he's not spiritually mature. And I don't think that wedding is going to last because what it looks like to me, it looks like that marriage is doomed. The minute your brother started punching that cake and you did nothing, you didn't stop him or you didn't punch him in the face, that wedding was doomed. It was doomed. I think that family is afraid of that Jake. I think Jake is a psychopath. This is my opinion. Okay? I don't know. There's something not right with that one. So, until a man can honor his wife over his peers, in spite of what his peers think, his marriage is vulnerable. That's a vulnerable marriage. So, best of luck to all of them, I guess. That's my opinion. I do not know these people. This video is for entertainment purpose only. So, anyways, thank you so much for watching. And thank you for all your support. I'll see you in another video. Bye.